My name's Jim. I'm with CGC Sports Illustrated, and this is the long-awaited pressing instructional video. I'm not going to talk about why you should press. I've done that in plenty of other videos, but I'll tell you, every single issue I send to get graded by CGC, I have pressed in advance. I am a firm believer that pressing improves, in fact, I know for certain that pressing improves the grades of the vast majority of magazines that you send in to get graded. Every single issue I've ever sent to CGC to be graded has been pressed, ever since I started collecting graded Sports Illustrated years ago. As I have been pressing magazines now for about a little bit more than 6 months, I'm pressing magazines for other people. I do want to mention that. I offer a magazine pressing service for anybody that wants it. I charge about the same that CGC charges. The benefit of going with me is that my turnaround time is about 2 to 3 weeks. And with CGC, you're adding an additional 9 to 10 months in addition to your grading wait time if you go with them. So if that's something you're interested in, DM me on social media or drop a comment here on YouTube and we'll connect. But this account and everything I've done on YouTube and social media has all been about sharing my information for free. So I'm going to do a pressing video despite the fact that I also offer pressing services. I really struggled with how to do this pressing video for a long time because it's much more of an art than a science. In fact, I was DMing with somebody on social media today, and this is true. I said, he sent me a picture. He's like, hey, do you think pressing can get this out? And it was a challenge. And I said to him, sometimes I can fix them, sometimes I can improve them, and sometimes I can't do much with them. Every single magazine is really different. And every single pressing challenge is different. So this is not going to be, your expert level pressing video. This is going to be an entry level pressing video. But a couple of words of caution. Every magazine is different. The way the Sports Illustrateds and other magazines were constructed in 1954 is totally different than the way they're constructed now. The paper is different. The binding is different. The ink is different. The gloss is different. All of that kind of factors into kind of those little minute changes and things you do when you press magazines. So keep that in mind. It's something that if you want to do yourself, it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of time. I probably had to press 300 or 400 issues before I was anywhere near being comfortable with it. And I've probably pressed over 1,000 issues myself in the last year or so since I've been experimenting with this and then jumping into it, pretty aggressively. So keep that in mind. Every magazine's different. Every pressing challenge is different. And the only way for you to know how to solve all those is just to press a lot of them and do it a lot and trial and error and figure it out. So this is an entry level video, and but hopefully it'll be a good start for you. I will make this suggestion right now. Practice on some junk issues. Subscription issues or issues that you don't care about. You are going to ruin some issues. And in fact, if you're not ruining some issues when you first start with this, you're probably not doing it right. You need to make those mistakes to learn how to do, learn what to do and what not to do when it comes to pressing. So we'll go through it step by step of the basics, and do me a favor. Like and subscribe here on YouTube and follow me on all of my social media accounts. I'm literally on every platform. It's the same name everywhere, CGC Sports Illustrated. Okay, so step number 1, you need a heat press. Now, when you go searching to buy one of these, you can search heat press or t-shirt heat press. There's a lot of this type out there. I think these cost about $200 on eBay and Amazon. I'm going to give you kind of a look. It's a generic, no name, doesn't even have a model number on it. What I think is most important is that you buy a full clamshell heat press. This opens up all the way. There's a lot of other models out there where it lifts up maybe 2 or 3 inches, and then you kind of have to slide it to the edge to get at your magazines and all your supplies inside of that press. Tip number 1, full clamshell heat press. I cannot recommend that enough. Okay, so here's our magazine we're going to press. Step number 2 is you're going to want to clean your magazine. This is especially true for all those Sports Illustrated issues where there's a lot of white on the back of the cover.
you definitely want to clean that first, and go look at my cleaning videos on how to do that. But what you don't want to do is press a dirty magazine, because it's just like when you get a stain on your shirt. You want to wash it out in cold water, because if you wash it out with heat, that stain is going to set. So step number 2, clean your magazines before you press them. Step number 3 is you need to find the center fold in the magazine. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this. This is where you can see the staples. That is what you're looking for. Every magazine, except for the ones that were produced in the last few years, are staple spines, and you want to find the center of the magazine. Then you need to get yourself a backer board. I recommend using Life magazine sized backer boards, because they're big enough and they give you a little bit extra room to work with. But what you're going to do is you're going to stick that backer board right where those staples are. What you're doing is you're giving room for those staples. What you don't want to do when you press this magazine is push those staples through the cover. And if you don't use, 1, 2, 3 backer boards, that's exactly what's going to happen, and you're going to end up damaging your spine. So you got to put that backer board in there where you see this, the center fold at, where you can see the staples. And again, Life magazine size backer board. Next up, what you want is 65-pound cardstock paper. 65-pound cardstock paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that between the cover and the first page, just like that. And then you're going to do it again between the back cover and the last page. And you want to press it all the way in so that you get it as far in as possible. Do that on the front and back. The next step is humidity. This is an instant humidifier, kind of like a baby humidifier. This is what I do, and there's a lot of videos out there, especially comic book videos, where guys will build humidity baths and all that sort of stuff. I haven't found that to be necessary. What I do is while I'm waiting for my heat press to warm up, I have that backer board in there to give me some support to the magazine, and I just kind of run the front and back on it and expose it to some humidity for about, 20, 30 seconds. Just kind of move it around. You definitely want to make sure that you don't get condensation on your magazine. So, climate control is always important. So if it's winter time and your house is really cold, hold it a little farther away from there. Be a little quicker when you move it around the humidifier. You don't want condensation, but you do want to expose the front and back cover to some humidity. That's going to make that paper a little bit more pliable and flatten it out for us. Now, again, lots of other ways that you can do this, but this is the method that I've found works best for me. Again, I take that Life magazine size backer board. That goes first. On top of that, a sheet of silicone release paper, or SRP paper. You can find that on Amazon and eBay. It's not too expensive. I think I got like 200 sheets for 20 or 30 bucks. So it's backer board, silicone release paper. Then I've got my magazine with the backer board and the 65-pound cardstock in it. That goes next. I then follow that up with another piece of silicone release paper. And then finally, another backer board on top. And again, all of these presses are going to be a little bit different, but this is what mine looks like. These are the temperature settings that I use. I use 145 degrees, and I set it for 7 minutes. 145 degrees for 7 minutes. Now, again, as you experiment, you're going to find that, certain types of issues are going to need a little less heat or a little more heat, a little less time, a little more time. But in general, you're going to be pretty safe at 145 degrees for 7 minutes. And then once I close the press, I let that sit in there and shut the press off once the timer goes off and 7 minutes is expired. But I let that magazine sit for at least 12 to 24 hours. It is important that even with the heat off, paper kind of has a memory. And even if you can get that bend and that crease, flattened out, if you don't let it sit for that 12 to 24 hours, you can pull that magazine out of there. In a couple days, you'll start to see that crease come back or that bend come back into the magazine. So a really important part of it is letting it sit for 12 to 24 hours after the timer has gone off. But the process is it takes a few minutes to come up to temperature. But once it comes up to temperature, lift it up, put your magazine in there, close it down, timer starts, 7 minutes, let it sit for 12 to 24 hours, and then you're done.
So there you go. That's Pressing 101, just kind of the basic techniques and ways that I go about pressing my magazines. Like I said, there's no way I could do a video. It'd be 4 hours long if I went into every single potential thing that you may come across when it comes to pressing. If you do have questions, you know how to get a hold of me. DM me on social media or drop a comment here on YouTube. I'm happy to help you out with any sort of problem that you encounter and answer your question individually and specifically. And if pressing yourself isn't something that you're interested in and you'd like to cut the wait times that CGC has for this pretty much out completely, like I said, I press magazines for a lot of other people that have been very, very happy with the results. So if you're interested in me pressing magazines for you, again, drop a comment or DM me on social media and we'll connect and talk about it. I hope this helps. Again, follow me on socials, subscribe here on YouTube, ask questions if I covered something or didn't cover something or you're running into a specific pressing problem. As always, happy to help you out and we'll do this again real soon. Thanks.